All right, here we go. I am excited. Wonderful. And ready to dive right in. So, hello. Welcome everyone to our last live episode of the year 2025. So, thank you so much for making the time to come join us live today. And hopefully, we'll have some listeners as well with the recordings. So, there we go. And all right, so let's dive right in because we have so much to cover. Roxanne and I were just joking about how we don't think we're even going to be able to contain the conversation in this hour because we just have so much to talk about. So um, we'll dive right in. Hello and welcome, everyone. So, final episode of Turnaround Tuesdays, our live business podcast. No fluff, just real talk, tips, and turnarounds. I am Alexandra Capellas Peters, founder and CEO of Cansulta. Cansulta is a global consulting hub where we connect organizations of all shapes, sizes, regions to our trusted network of expert vetted consultants um, in strategy, finance, operations, HR, marketing, technology, you name it. Unlike the large, big traditional consulting firms, we're trying to make top tier consulting and expertise accessible. So we are faster, more affordable, and flexible for your needs. So, why are we here? Why did we create Turnaround Tuesdays? Because we thought that there was a bit of a gap with some of the business podcasts that were out there, that sometimes they're a little bit too fluffy, a little bit too academic or too formal. And so, our goal here with you today is to be a bit different and to focus on real world stories and strategies that you can go back to your organization or company with and put to use right away. So we are featuring our consultants, partners, experts, and trying to dig into all the ways that you can strengthen your business. So you will walk away from today, hopefully, with three things. One is a gift, which is a practical guide that we've prepared for you to actually apply all of the lessons to your own company. There's also an invitation for you to book a free intro with Roxana, so that you can explore on your own kind of challenges for your organization. And finally, we have an exclusive offer on our business health audit, which is a very structured way to look at your organization and figure out what your strengths and blind spots are and where you should maybe put some more attention. So all of that will be sent by email to those of you who registered, and we'll cover everything at the end. So you don't need to worry about taking any notes. And last thing I want to say, I'm very excited to announce that we are what I'm calling podcast official. We're very excited that we are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and any of the major podcast platforms, anywhere that you watch or listen. So our little show now has its own website, and you can go there to share your feedback, to suggest some topics or guests that you'd like us to interview and talk about. And all of the links to all of the guides and gifts that you hear about today, you'll also find there. So that is all available at cansulta.com/podcast. Tried to make it nice and simple. So with all of that, let's get to the meat. I'm very excited about today's conversation. I think many of you, I think, are as well. So I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, who's Roxana. Roxana is the founder of a Canadian leadership and team coaching and training company that she started in 2017. She works mainly with mid-career professionals and big corporations, but also with startup co-founders, helping them to boost their careers, their personal and team leadership, and their communication and impact. As a leadership and team effectiveness coach, she's also a workshop facilitator, learning strategist, and design specialist, and brings a lot of expertise in transforming individual and team performance. She has co-authored The Psychology and Dynamics of Human Energy, How Aligning Energy to Impact Can Transform the Workplace. She's also an ICF and EMCC accredited professional and team coach. So many letters. I love it. An e-learning author, and finally a TEDx speaker. So we have a true specialist with us here today. Roxana also holds a diploma in learning and development in human resources practice from the Chartered Institute for Personnel and Development in the UK. Her prior corporate experience includes more than 16 years in international top tier law firms, including 8 years at the executive level as the global head of learning and development, operating in European and Mid-Asian countries. Wow. Roxana, thank you so much for being here. And
Well, thank you for
wow,
having
I'm
me
so
here.
happy to have you with us. And my goodness, let's dive in. We have so much to talk about. For those of you who are meeting you for the first time, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what led you into leadership and team development?
Well, first of all, I think you said almost everything. So, what I will add is where I wanted to go is because I've always been a learning and development geek, as I like to um, define my whole experience in learning and development. But one of the things that I noticed was it's one thing to help people discover things that they can do, information, so knowing about
Mm,
stuff and knowing how to, and actually embedding that in your day to day.
mm,
So that's what got me into one-on-one coaching and then team coaching, because I found that, one training here and there, or even one program here and there is not going to cut it, because then we go back to our habits that we've had before that. And now we know more about the things, all of those things that we could do, but don't necessarily implement them. So that's what got me there.
okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? And you have worked, as we heard, or as I mentioned, everywhere and anywhere at this point, right? Across countries, across industries, and obviously many different cultures. Um, in the work that you've been doing, what have you noticed have emerged as patterns in how leaders are struggling or thriving, hopefully, when it comes to their confidence?
Well, there is not so many differences, and that's
Mm,
the most interesting part, and one of the most exciting parts of the work that I do right now is because I get to see people struggling with pretty much the same thing. And it doesn't matter where they are geographically or hierarchically in any kind of organization. So yes, the patterns are self-doubt. People struggle with self-doubt. And here's the funny thing is that the more you're a high achiever, the more you're gonna struggle with that.
mm,
Because, and we're gonna dive deeper into this. I've yet to meet somebody who's a high achiever and who hasn't struggled with self-doubt and isn't actually currently struggling with self-doubt. One of the things is it's because the work that they do doesn't seem to ever be good enough. So it's about that enough part of it. So that's one. And absolutely, yes, the cultural differences may exist, but the inner critic is
mm,
universal. We all have one. So that's one of the patterns too. So one of the things that helped people thrive is, okay, let's distinguish between doing good work and
mm.
just getting agreement on what that looks like right now, putting it into some sort of context.
Okay. And probably, I would assume that there is a natural kind of alignment between those who are more self-aware and those who see this case of the self-critic and the self-doubt, right? Um, so perhaps those who are a little bit less experienced and mature in their roles are not maybe as likely to be able to kind of identify these weaknesses and these areas to develop their own confidence, right?
Yeah, it takes, but that's when it takes time, it takes work. And you're spot on that self-awareness is the starting point.
Yeah. And something I appreciated that you have said before is that confidence is not something that you build. Sorry, that confidence is something that you build,
Yeah.
and it's not something that we kind of magically, just wake up with.
No.
Can you elaborate and tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I can use my own example. And it's funny because we were talking about that just before we started. But confidence comes from action. It's not the other way around. It's not like, oh, I will do my TEDx talk when I'm confident to do it. And I use this example because one of the things that I secretly dreamt of doing was to be on a stage and to have a TEDx talk. And it might seem like I am this extrovert and a great public speaker right now. I wasn't always like that. And I come from initially being not just very introverted, but extremely shy to the point that as a kid, I was antisocial. And I
Oh.
really, from kindergarten to primary school, that was what was officially my label, let's say. Like she's like threshold antisocial. But that only so and I realize now looking back that all of those instances where I would pretend that I was talking to my dolls and teaching them stuff, or I would pretend I was performing in my room and just like there were people around me and I would sing to them. Nobody could see that.
Mm,
Uh, but that was the image that I had in my mind was that I only was not able to express that with other people being actually physically around me.
right.
And so
Mm,
I think that introversion, for example, it doesn't mean that you're not good at public speaking. You're not good at communicating.
right.
You're just doing it differently. And there's that point that
Mm,
you need to work on. Communicate, not just indoors, not just in isolation, but also take it step by step and start to communicate with other people.
right.
That's why I say public speaking is not just about being on a stage. Think about all of those instances where you're talking to people in a team meeting, in a
Yeah.
one-on-one conversation where you have to do most of the speaking, for example, where you're actually explaining someone to something, something to someone.
Mm,
So that those are instances of public speaking that are not too risky and where we can practice that skill. With confidence, it's the same thing. Like, and the fact that I put myself out there to talk to people, to then I wanted to learn about being a TV presenter. I was putting my hand up whenever people wanted to hear from us in university, for example.
yeah.
Um, and then I started, of course, in my role as a learning and development. I had to do and facilitate and deliver a lot of training sessions, a lot of workshops. So those were my public speaking moments. And I did more and more of that. So
Right.
then I just raised my hand and I submitted a registration form to TEDx and got accepted to speak there. But it was because I wanted to. So that's why I say it's just, and at TEDx, I spoke about our skills being just like muscles. So
Mm,
think about confidence as a skill. That's a muscle that you want to train so that it gets stronger and stronger.
makes a lot of
Whatever
sense.
muscle
Yeah.
is still dormant that you know that you want to grow, train it. That's what I mean by, yeah, our skills are just like body muscles.
That's a great analogy, I think, and something we can all kind of um, work with for sure. Oh my goodness, I have so many follow-up questions. I'm gonna
Okay.
jump to one that I know is not on our bold list. We had too many. We had too many, but selfishly, I want to cover it. I think for many of us, the concept of imposter syndrome has become, really relevant topic. Something that I feel like we, didn't really talk about at all 5 years ago, but really seems to have emerged as a really relevant topic for every leader. But you made an important distinction in our like previous conversations between imposter syndrome and then like imposter moments. And so I'm so curious if you can talk about that a little bit because I think that it's really powerful. And that's an important kind of subtle difference. If you can share a
Mhm.
little bit around that.
It is, and it in coaching, reframing is one of those important tools that we have. And it's like, and now you have it too. So it's all about reframing because most of the time, the imposter is in our brain.
Yeah.
It's hidden in here, and we don't even know that it's talking to us.
Mhm.
We feel it. It makes us feel unsure or confused or sad or scared or whatever, but we don't even know what it's saying. So I would like to introduce um, another guest speaker for today. I call this and just like let me put it in front of me. So this is uh, when it's an imposter, I call it buzzkill. Um, because it does kill my buzz. It's like it sits on my shoulder and it tells me all of those things that I think everyone here is somehow familiar with. Like, who are you to even do this? What are you doing? Don't you see like you have no idea what you're doing? Oh, maybe not for now, maybe for later. This is not, you shouldn't be doing this now. And all of those little phrases that we have, and that's why I say sometimes we don't even know that these are going on through our
Mm.
mind. And it's just the fact that I have a visual representation of that makes me think when I feel lack of confidence, when I feel like I'm afraid of doing something, um, I stop. It helps me just because I have this and I look at it and I stop and I ask, what's the proof?
Mm.
I'm asking, and working with lawyers for 16 years, I think has something to do with it. It taught me a lot about asking for proof. But I want to know what the proof is in that moment that I can't do something, that I have no idea what I'm doing, that I'm no good at that, at all of it. Because what also happens with the imposter is it generalizes. So that's a moment of when I have imposter thoughts that make me feel like an imposter. It's not a syndrome because I don't have that all the time. A
Yeah.
syndrome seems to be something like a chronic disease that you
Yes.
cannot find a cure for. And that's actually not true. Because if you go for the proof, there might be some proof that I'm not very good at some of it yet, but perhaps, and then I look for the proof of what I am good at in that moment so that I do deliver
Yeah.
professionally. And then buzzkill becomes buzz build. I want to turn, that's my intention.
Okay.
And I need, and that transition from intention to actually making it happen, that's totally in my control.
Yeah.
So my intention is to turn buzzkill into buzz build. So what are those things that I need to do
Yeah.
right now so that it transforms into buzz build? And most of the things will be looking for proof that something, what buzzkill is saying, that is true or not true.
Mm.
And also looking for proof that it is not true.
Yeah.
Because in those moments, and you know what they say, what we focus on expands. If I'm going to focus on the imposter verbiage and conversation, all I'm going to see is that, and it will grow, it will expand. So, this, as silly as it looks, it really helps me stop, step back, and then take control and say, and I also shut it up.
Yeah.
And I can say, well, thank you. I need you to shut up now. I'm on it.
Yeah.
I got it. So that's one way in which reframing, back to the coaching tool that you all have right now, is helping move from what I'm thinking to taking back control so that you make something different happen.
I love it. I just want to pause for a second. I
Yeah.
see there's a question in the chat, which I'm really happy about. And I just want to mention, please do to all those joining us live, please do add your questions into the chat. And we are really happy to have them. And we are keeping time with Roxanne at the end to make sure we can tackle them. So please keep it up. And Justin, you're not forgotten. We're looking forward to talking about your question. Roxana, just to keep things rolling along here, my goodness, too much to talk about. Um, you've just given, I love that, as you said, it's kind of a little silly, but it makes so much sense, the buzzkill and having that manifestation there as the critic. When you do see this self-doubt and imposter moments that are coming up for leaders, what are the ones that you like, where do you see this happening the most frequently with leaders and why and where?
And I love that this question is also connected to the question that we got in the chat in a way, because the number one spot where you see that is transitions.
Mm.
And it might be transitions within the same organization, and especially from individual contributor to manager role or
Yeah.
director role, whatever, but it's that transition. Or to our point here today in the chat is that transition between, and I'm going to move from one organization to another. How do I build what I want to build? And especially trust and those relationships, because trust is a lot about relationships. Um, and so one of the things that I would also like to for us to be aware of is that everybody goes through this.
Mm.
And incidentally, I was telling you before our conversation today, I'm reading a book that's written by Jacinda Ardern. She's the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. And that's the way that she starts the book is exactly this.
Mm.
I always, and I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but I always struggled with the imposter syndrome. And I was always afraid that someday someone will figure it out and I will be, and they will expose me. So let's normalize how we feel about that, because that's also a sign that we're very much aware of about all of those things that we know that we don't know yet. Because the step before that is not knowing what we don't know. We're blissfully unaware. And that is what we also call the Dunning-Kruger effect, which you might have heard about. But when I have no idea. I'm at the beginning and I'm excited and I don't know what I don't know. The level of confidence is usually really high and it starts at a peak because we're excited about it. And then in time, actually a short period of time, we realize, oh my God, there's so many things that I don't know. And that's great because that gives you the focus area. Okay, so if you know that these are the things you don't know, which of those things do you want to focus on to start learning that are going to help you in your path? So you now know that you have a problem. You know what the problem is, so you can solve for it. If I don't even know that I have a problem, I'm not even going to think about solving it. So that's a conversation. We start at a peak and then we go through what we call the valley of despair
Right.
because yeah, there's oh my God, so many things, and that's the overwhelm. I need to do this and this and that, and how am I going to cope with it all? That is where we feel most uncomfortable too. So talk about
Yeah.
getting ourselves out the comfort zone. That's it. You're in the valley of despair. You understand that you're there. It's very uncomfortable. But because of that, that's the beauty of it. Because I know that there are so many things that I need to learn. I can think about who do I want to learn it from? Who can help me? Where am I going to read about that? What's the network that I need to build so that I get the support to grow those skills muscles that I need?
Yeah.
Do I still need to, like, if we use the analogy with going to the gym,
Hmm.
well, what kind of exercises do I
Yeah.
need to do for which kind of muscles? Do I need a spotter or not, or just one, or perhaps, and all of that, so that we slowly grow into what we call the slope of enlightenment, where we become more and more, and that's the growth until we get to that plateau of sustainability, which is great because that tells us, hey, I've learned all of those things that I needed to learn to get me there, which does not mean I will never go back to the valley of despair. That's
Right.
part of growing. Once I've reached one top, there's always going to be something else that I need to grow into, or someone else that I want to grow into. And then there's going to be so many things that I still need to learn. So it's a winding road, right? But that's what tells us that we're very much alive. It's like the rhythm of the heartbeat on an EKG
Yes.
machine. It's
Yeah.
up and down, but if it's flat, that's not good because then we're dead or we feel dead. So like I want to be in that up and down.
I think that explains as well, we spoke before about how it seems a little counterintuitive that you have very experienced senior high performing leaders. How is it possible that these people are still struggling with confidence? And I think you just explained that it's natural. This is actually a positive. And kind of the why behind it. Why is this happening? Um, quickly, I guess I'm wondering, Roxana, how people can recognize the difference when there are these moments that are trying in the peaks and valleys, as you've been discussing. How do we recognize when we're dealing with something that is a healthy challenge or pressure or moment, because we're being pushed to grow and learn, versus something that's really like a blocker and it's a confidence issue and it's more problematic? How do we recognize the difference there, and then how should we act differently in response?
Well, and I see that there's more of there are also similarities between them. And because, for example, some of the things that might get in the way, um, yes, they're gonna be the blockers. But again, it's all about me reframing how I look at those so that I understand what I can do to get them out of the way, how, when that's going to happen. because I want to. Some blockers are
Mm,
going to be there. I mean, all of the blockers that we have are there for a reason. They do something for us initially, and at some point they end up defeating their purpose
yeah.
and they start doing things against us.
Mm,
If I say to myself, well, I'm not ready to use I don't know, the speaking up in meetings example. I'm not ready to speak in a meeting because I'm new or I'm junior or I don't know enough or whatever reasons we come up with, because they're going to be different. Those will be creating some blockers that protect me initially. And maybe, yes, I need to first observe how people are speaking, what's the language that they use. When they are speaking, do they invite each other to speak or do they speak freely? What's the culture in that particular team of how people are speaking up, for example? What are they speaking up about? Do they only talk about successes or do they
mm,
also address concerns or risks they're seeing or whatever else is there? So maybe at the beginning, I need to observe what's going on so that I can see how I can contribute. But then if I keep doing that, that's going to end up working against me. It's not going to protect me anymore. It's going to be telling me, hey, you're still not yet there. You can't say that because who are
right.
you to? So, one of the things is so reframe, think about what if you contribute? What if you don't? What's the impact of that? One of the things that I like to use another analogy is the stress that that gives you, because there's two kinds of stress: the distress, which is like, oh, I'm so afraid and it's super stressful and I'm anxious and I want to get it over with, and eustress, which is the good kind of stress, which is the stress that helps you prepare, that pushes you forward. It's to use the another analogy that might be helpful is for theater actors,
Mm,
they will always have most of them will say, well, I still get that, the jitters. I
yeah.
still feel my heart beating fast and but that's eustress. That's excitement. That's more in the excitement part of it rather than in the fear part. There's such a fine line between fear and excitement. So when it pulls you down on and on and on, when it's overwhelming and when it brings those anxiety levels at really high levels and it prevents you from doing something, that's distress. When it's eustress, I still feel something and I want to do it. And it pushes me forward. So that's the distinction. And that is going to be really, really personal from one individual to another.
Right.
How you can get through that threshold between fear and excitement.
I love it. That's yeah, very helpful. Staying in line with the kind of story time aspect here, we're gonna move into a couple examples, and then I think we'll move
Yeah.
into some of the kind of tips and practical pieces here as well, Roxana. So,
Yep.
you've obviously just coached many, many, many people over the years, many leaders through various transformations, as you mentioned. So can you share with us a story or two of some leaders who did struggle with, I think, what we're all talking about here with their confidence, and then, what it was that kind of helped them turn things around?
I'm super, super lucky to work with people, and that's the beauty of coaching is that you partner with people to help them brainstorm and experiment and find those solutions that work for them. Some of I remember one of the clients that I was working with this year, she came and she was thinking, well, I do these things and but when I need to go out and speak in meetings, I find that especially with people who are more senior, that was a struggle. how do I do that? Because then, like, why would I even say anything?
Mm,
Um, so, and again, I just want to say how I want us to ideally normalize this conversation because the struggle, even if it's not that particular struggle, we all struggle with it,
mm,
with the who am I to question
yes.
in different scenarios. Um, so one of the things that we did is, well, first of all, talk about the little imposter here, visualizing. And look, this is mine. So you can make something happen for yourself, like whatever visual helps you stop in that moment. Sometimes we need those visual cues. It's like, well, think about traffic lights. You need your own traffic light
Mm,
against the imposter that keeps yapping in your ear and telling you how bad you are at something. So one of the things is that visualizing and then understanding what do I need to do so that I make a valuable contribution. The shift, if it helps you to think about making that shift before you even go into that meeting, that's what we were talking about. And that's what she started to experiment with. How do you prepare before that? And how do you think about the end of the meeting? For example, how do I want to feel at the end of the meeting?
mm,
Do I want to feel like I made a valuable contribution? Or what do I not want to feel like? I don't want to feel like I missed an opportunity to speak up and help people, and I didn't. So those are two reframes that are helpful in that situation. One of the other things, of course, that I'm sure mostly everybody here knows about breathing, like really take your time before that meeting, breathe in, breathe out. Why? Because it regulates the heartbeat and it turns your heartbeat a little bit slower because when we're excited, our hearts are going to be faster and we're going to speak differently and we're going to hear our voice differently. And we're going to think, oh, what am I even saying here? And what's that voice? That's not me. Sometimes that happens. And power poses.
mm.
Again, because when we're afraid, our physiology will also show that, our body language will show that. We tend to take less space. I
Mhm.
don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. I just want to get it over with.
Yeah.
So, doing some power poses before those meetings that are important for you to speak up in, it's just like your body will expand and it will signal to your brain, hey, you're ready for it. You have a valuable contribution to make. So, make it. You're ready.
I love that. I just have this, I can't remember what it's from, but that image of like the, you know, take space like a bear and,
Yes. What even
prepare
like
yourself and these great
exactly.
tips that
It's
we've been told. Yeah.
yeah, and those are universal. So find your power poses that work for you
Yeah.
and practice with that before you get into that important conversation or meeting.
That's so helpful. And as you said, I mean, I think probably most people on the line, yes, we all are familiar with the ideas, right? Of yes, breathing and power poses and visualization. But, just to return to what you mentioned in the beginning about, treating this like a skill to develop and a muscle that we need to, work out and work with, it just makes sense because even if we know all the theory, right? Remembering to like have it
Yeah.
become habit forming, have it become part of our daily practice and lives is probably necessary to make it effective.
Yeah. And just think about it. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why, for example, I love taking one of the things that I did was make a deal with myself.
Okay.
So do with that what you may, but that's one of the questions that I want to leave you with is what's the deal you want to make with yourself
Mm,
that you're going to do so that you can implement some of these. And especially as people are going to get the guide and they have a lot of ideas and tools that you can use.
Yeah.
What are you going to, and pick one. Start small. You don't have to do everything all at once because then it's going to go confusing, crazy, chaotic. So pick one, depending on what you want to overcome most right now, because it's the most helpful to you.
Yeah. I actually put you on the spot because that was one of the questions that I loved. And so maybe you can guide us here. What is, as you said, there's so many options. So
Yeah.
what is one shift, one thing that, the leaders can make and do in how they communicate that would instantly strengthen their confidence? Uh,
That's
give us
easy.
give us the cheat key, the cheat code. Like,
Are you ready? Give it a drum roll. Because, and I know you already heard about it, but I challenge you to do it. Ask questions.
okay.
Rather, so for example,
Surprising. Yeah.
yeah, it's very surprising. And it's sort of, I bet you didn't know about it. But so, for example, if it was me, to your question, like, what can we do? I would say something like, well, what if I asked you what you can do? What is one idea that you have about what you can do? But ask whenever and especially for leaders, because the assumption is, and the assumptions that we all make, and that come with the struggle, are that we have to have all the answers.
Mm,
That's why you're there.
yeah.
If you're a leader, you better, like, you should have the answer. And especially as we move from the individual contributor to a leadership role, that's when you have all of those experts in your team that are there for a reason, because they're the expert in whatever they're the expert in. You cannot be an expert in everything.
Right.
And that would defeat the purpose of actually having all of those people in your team. You can't. So your role is going to change, and be clear about what your role is. Your role is not going to be to solve all of the problems that your individual contributors can solve, even better than you can, I might add, because they're more minds, right? So it's going to be easier for them to come up with better solutions than just one mind. But your role is to help create that environment where they can make those contributions to the best of their abilities. That's your role. The strategy, the clarity, the direction, the just like asking the question, what ideas do you have? What can we do in this situation right now? Instead of giving solutions. And if you find yourself that you have a solution in mind,
Mm,
even then turn it into a question and see what happens. What if we did that?
mm,
Even that, you can put it out in your team and say, well, see, who, what do you think if we did that? And there will be people who will agree, there will be people who will disagree. See what they say, or ask who has a different opinion, who has a different perspective. I think that's one thing. My challenge to you, ask questions.
I love it. And I think, I don't know for others, but for me, that's a surprise. I'm kind of expecting something different, something that we would do personally, a reflection or a different approach. But, just this mindset shift of asking
Mhm.
questions. I love it. And I think it is a little bit unexpected. I want to ask a question, related to that, I guess, is, I think, if you're going to ask questions, we notably would need to be good listeners as well, right? And so I wonder, let's talk a little bit about the active listening and then actually the emotional intelligence side
Mm.
of things. Um, how important is that? What role does that take in becoming a confident, strong leader and building one's confidence?
Well, you know what I will say, the more you do it, the more comfortable you will get. Because I've run listening workshops, for example. And one of the things that is extremely uncomfortable, one of the exercises that we do is have people um, pair them up and have conversations where one of them can only ask questions.
Mm.
And whenever they get back from that exercise, they say, "Oh, that was really hard." But so one of the things is ask questions. And so go with the intention of exploring, of brainstorming, or of hearing from the other person. Really get curious about the perspective, not curiosity in terms of, oh, I want to know stuff about you so that I can use it against you. Not that kind of curiosity, but the kind that helps us explore. I want to know what this smart, awesome human being in front of me really thinks about stuff and the perspective and the contribution that they can make. That's what I want. And then focus on keywords. What are you hearing really? Because you can't hear everything. Like, I mean, you won't pick up everything that people say in a conversation, even here. We're not going to be able to do that because that's how our brain works. But what are some keywords that caught your attention that you can then reuse
Mm.
as you either ask a question or you say something back to that person? Oh, you mentioned that, and I'm not sure I get it exactly. Can you explain it for me? Or I don't think this is what my understanding about it is.
Yeah.
What else is there? Because I don't think I have enough clarity. Can you help me understand?
Mm. So I love that too. Like, as we're talking about, you build your own individual confidence as a leader by unearthing, right, the
Mhm.
challenges and the opinions and the insights from your team. Let's talk about that a little bit more. This dynamic between, our individual confidence as leaders and then the impact that that has on the greater team. Why does this matter? Of course, it matters to us as individuals, but there's a real, I imagine, demonstrable value in
Yeah.
this work that we're doing with ourselves and on ourselves in how it creates a, high performance culture and something much more positive. So yeah, how does one's leadership confidence or
Mhm.
lack thereof, how does that kind of ripple into the organization and the team culture and performance?
I will say everybody's contribution in a team, especially that's going to be pretty catchy. And it's like it's contagious, right? I mean, just think about it. And I don't think again, there's not going to be any surprise for anyone here if they say, well, if we have a team member who's sad or upset or angry, um, and we notice that and they let us know, well, that is going to have an impact on us as well. Well, if it's the leader, even more so.
Right.
And if it's and it's not just about the fact that they're one way or the other. Of course, you're a leader. Some days you're gonna are gonna be better than other days. And just recognize, hey, you know what? Today I'm at 40%. So my best is not going to look like on those days when I'm at a 95%. That's what I can do. That's to the best of my ability today. So that level of transparency, when we talk about transparency, it's not just about, well, it's I'm taking accountability for how I show up. And also, I'm going to be aware and clearly communicate that I know what the impact of
Right.
that is on you or might be on you. And it might also be combine that with boundaries. I
Yeah.
was talking to somebody who was leading a team, and this is how she started one of the coaching conversations. Well, because she had been through a very rough time. One of her best friends had passed, so she was really, really in a very dark place. She had to go to work, and she said the first thing I said to my team is, "This is what happened to me. I'm not in my best place right now. So if you see me acting differently, this
Yeah.
is why. And I want you to know that this is why. And I will, if I need something, I will ask for it.
Mm.
That was a very strong, vulnerable kind of communication that immediately helped not just her with what she needed, but also her team members understand what
Yeah.
was going on. So it's not like just name it. Like most of the times it's going to be, well, I'm not in a very, I don't know. I don't know what kind of day I have today.
Yeah.
Just saying that. But because our body language, that's gonna we're gonna show people how we feel through our body language and voice and or through silence for that matter. We're not gonna talk anymore, or not as much as we used to in any case. So they will know something's up.
Yeah.
Better not let them assume stuff. Tell them what's happening, what you need, what you can do, what you're working with.
Yeah. So that transparency, right, being a part of a
Yeah.
culture of trust and communication, um, makes a lot of sense. Um, just yeah, we could I think we could go on here forever. So I think we'll take a minute and let's dive into some of the questions that we have
Yeah.
from the audience. And I definitely think probably Roxana will be looking at having um, a follow-up conversation in the new year because there's just so much more to talk about here. Let's go over. We talked about it a little bit, but Justin, great question from you here. So maybe we can tackle this one first. Justin has worked his entire career with the same organization and will be beginning work with a new company in a leadership role. Congratulations, Justin. What tangible steps can I take to demonstrate authenticity and to build trust with a new team and also within a new organization?
Well, yes. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, my first question when I heard that was, what gets you excited about it?
Hmm.
Of course, Justin, you don't have to answer now, but that's a good question to reflect on because
Yeah,
what,
I could get into it as
yeah.
well.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So I follow Vin Jiang a lot. He talks about communication and leadership. And one thing he talks about is, for others creating a mold for yourself. And so let's say you're working with the same team for, a long period of time. Uh, those team members may have, created a mold for you or have a certain opinion of you or an image of you. So I think the exciting thing for me is just the ability to recreate myself,
Yeah.
within a new organization and reignite my career development.
Awesome. So thinking about that, you can think about it in this way. What's the intention? What's the image? And what are some of the steps that are going to help you take that initial image that you want to create and actually make it happen, turn it into an impact? So, and what you were saying about, yes, people do have this image about us, but that is one of the things that we don't realize is what we call personal power. And by personal power is we have the expert power, so what we're experts in, our technical knowledge and expertise and all of that kind of stuff, and referent power, which is all of those people that have experienced our knowledge and skills at work because we interacted every single day. So those people are not going to be there, but that is still going to be your power. That's still one of your personal powers that now you have to build, but you're building on all of that expertise and all of the skills and knowledge that you already have. And you said, talking about building trust, one of the things that's important about that is look at how do you build trust and how might people build trust? Because there are two different ways. One way is I'm going to trust you until you've proven to me that I can't. But that's going to be right off the bat. I'm going to trust me. I'm going to trust you, or I'm only going to trust you once you've proven to me that I can. So, and you might meet both kinds of people, but what I will say is first know that about yourself. What helps you build trust? What do people need to do to build your trust? So that you know what are those things that you can do to build trust with these two different groups of people.
Love it. Thank you so much. Really insightful.
You're
Thanks, Jessica.
welcome.
Great question, too.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 questions from Hayin. And just for the sake of time, I'm not sure, Hayin, if you want to pick which one. And maybe we can dive in there. The first one we'll have here. How can I separate, these are great questions. How can I separate my self-worth from the early numbers or outcomes of my gatherings? I'm trying hard to separate them. How can I build trust and grow my gatherings in a new place while navigating that fear that I'm not enough to hold space for others yet? So there's one
Okay.
there. And the other one was also quite good. So I don't know if you, maybe Roxana, you want a 2 in 1.
I will just, so to that first one, what I will say is just ask, what's the proof that you're not enough to hold space for others? And what if you did? What would be the impact on them if you did that? I find that a lot of the times we assume a bunch of stuff, but really, and when we get out of it and say something, there are people might surprise us and say, oh my God, thank you so much for that. I needed that. And that's when you realize, oh, if I didn't do that, they wouldn't have had the space to also contribute or share. So that's one. And to the second one, I love that. When you're coaching and a client brings up something you don't know much about. Well, first of all, I want to say something about coaching. Coaching does not mean expertise in the same industry. So coaching is, I'm a thought partner, and that's why I work with people in the legal industry, in financial industry, in tech, in all sorts of different industries, because it's not about it, it's not like a mentor who can tell you, oh, you should try this and this and this and that. It's more about picking up on, oh, when you said that, for example, when you said that, I heard some excitement in your voice, or your body language was like this. This seems to be exciting for you. Or, when you were talking about that kind of scenario, that seems to bring you down. What's bringing you down? What's the real problem with it? And that's just, as a coach, I help people explore, get out of their own way in a way, and also explore things from different perspectives, not just from one. And it also helps, the fact that I'm not in that industry is super helpful, because I see things from a totally different perspective. It's just like a bird's eye view. And sometimes I just ask, oh, well, can you, I'm not an expert you're the expert in what you do. I don't understand. So what's the problem? And when people start telling you what the problem is so that you understand it, it suddenly brings a bunch of whole other clarity for them as well. So sometimes I just ask the questions. Sometimes I just sit in silence, as you said, and I just say, I just show them, well, I'm confused. And they say, you seem confused. And well, I am. And it's like, but again, the whole point of coaching is to help them get out of their usual way of thinking and see things from a different perspective.
Hayin, did that answer your question well?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, actually last Friday, I did my first gathering here in another country. And yeah, she really told me like people don't judge you. Like I feel like really good after the session, and you can be more confident about it. And then I cried. I found it's like also like healing process for me to
Yes.
more believe in myself. And yeah, I love like both explanation. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for asking the questions. See what questions do? Oh my God. That's amazing for exploring and for clarifying.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hayin. Wow. Well, my goodness, Roxana, thank you so much. I'm sad we are at time.
Me too. I know I don't
And
look like it,
I
but
know
I
I was staring at the clock here, and I'm disappointed. But I guess that's only further proof that we will have to have another session for sure. So
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much, Roxana, for the time today. And to all the listeners, and some great questions. Really appreciate you all joining us. And
I
just
loved all of the questions. Those
yeah,
were phenomenal questions. Keep at it. Keep at it.
that's it. So I just want to reiterate for everyone too, like this is not a one-time offer. We want you to take advantage of this opportunity. So again, coming out of today, please check your inboxes. And as soon as the episode is released as well on all the podcast platforms, you'll find in the notes the links to everything. So the one thing we want you to check out is our new guide, as Roxana mentioned. So that does include some very practical tips and things for you to put into use, some tactics and steps that you can take right away, including some nice worksheets that Roxana has prepared for us and shared. Just light but practical and useful. So please check those out. That's a free guide for you to download. And then again, please feel free, book some time with Roxana. She's very generously agreed, like all of our consultants, to have a free intro chat. So, book some time together and talk about you and see, how you might get some help for your own work. And I guess other than that, I'm just thankful for everyone for your time here today. We hope that you will join us in the new year when we restart our live sessions. So come back and ask more questions. And in the meantime, please look out in your email for all of the links we talked about, these resources. And feel free, please do, if you like the show, tell other people. We're just kind of launching, so you can subscribe, and we are looking for your feedback. So please do let us know who else you want us to talk to and what we should talk about, so we can make a show that's hopefully helpful for everyone. So other than that, thank you all so much, and wishing you a wonderful 2026. I guess this is it for this year. And Roxana, thank you again so much to everyone.
Thank you, Albert.
This has been a Turnaround Tuesday, and we wish you the best and lots of success in your business, and we'll see you next time. So thanks so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.